Finish the first stage of bans. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is 3 bans aside first, then 3 picks, then 2 more bans, and then 2 more picks. So we've talked about it a little bit as well, like those 2 picks in the last kind of stage are very much target bans from what you've got left to pick.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm also interested to be looking at the Malzahar ban here. As you were saying, there's kind of the staple, which is the Camille, the LeBlanc, and the Rengar. So we're kind of mixing it up a bit in this one, where both sides kind of go, oh no, forget about it, we'll just ban whatever we want. So this means that they kind of have a game plan coming into this. About to say, it could end up being just a pinch in the jungle to try and take some of these picks away.
They leave Rengar and Kha'Zix open. Rengar going to be the first lock-in from exceL, as we see Camille and Lee Sin as the final 2 bans on either side. And Paria, what they want to go for, they don't actually have to lock in the Kha'Zix right now because they know that Rengar is going to the jungle, so they could prioritize maybe the Ashe into the Karma. We've seen that quite a lot recently, or maybe they prefer to go with the Jhin. Looks like they're going to lock in the Kha'Zix. I feel like with the amount of priority that you've put onto the supports, just the fact that, you know, Zyra and Malzahar are gone, you have to nearly pick up your support.
Well, see, that's the thing. We're also talking about Kangas in that mid lane. He does struggle with his champion pool. So with the likes of the Syndra gone, you've also got, you know, the LeBlanc and stuff. That's going to start putting a strain on it. So that's what I'm saying. I think they need to pick up their mid lane here just so then they have something comfortable. The problem here, though, is that the likes of Cassiopeia is still open and they can easily pick that up in this rotation. But then you kind of got to leave, you know, your bot lane to the way... sorry, you can pick up even your bot lane with this. And then when you get to Paria's side, you've kind of got to make your choice. What are we going to go with here? Do we want to pick up maybe like the Varus or the Ashe, whatever's left over? Or do we kind of get a bit worried about that and maybe sacrifice the bottom lane in favor of a stronger top laner?
Yeah, I was actually going to mention the Cassiopeia, also the Orianna available. Orianna fantastically well suited to that matchup into Ryze, able to kind of, you know, soak up the damage with the command protect, do a lot of, you know, kind of safe poke as well with the command attack and the dissonance. And let's see what they want to go for now. Like you said, they are actually going to prioritize that Ashe. That is going to be a huge amount of priority going over to exceL. Right now, they're really looking like they picked up some serious picks.
Yeah, and I really like the way that they're kind of playing this one. You've got your long-range engage with the Ashe, and you've got so much follow-up with the Rengar and the Orianna. We've talked about that synergy before. We've got the stealth coming through with the easy shockwave.
The submarine tactic.
Basically, so it sets it up incredibly well for them. So I really like the way they're working with this, but that, as I'm actually going to say, if they try to go for some kind of like poke coming through on the opposite side, particularly if you pick up the likes of the Varus, you got the Jace, that's a lot of long-range poke that you got to deal with, and makes it a little bit more difficult for you to deal with because you're going to be so far back and kind of poking them down. When they do pull the trigger to have that engage, their health bar should be a lot lower, which means the fight can be turned quite easily.
Yeah, and I really like that Jace pick because they picked it on the last rotation of first bans, which means that they get a free ban now. They could prioritize to the top lane. I was just going to say Maokai, get him out of the picture. You could even nearly go with your second last one, either go with a Poppy or even the Fiora. Just get anyone who can go up against that Jace and just really put some serious pressure onto Tolkien. We will see the Varus locked out, though, as well from the side of exceL. So a huge amount of priority picks going to be put onto, and it kind of comes down to this. Team Paria, we talked about how they need to be able to push up. They've actually got some exceptionally powerful picks as the Fiora is banned out from them on their last ban, but they need to make them work. There's no point in getting these picks if you're not going to be able to do anything with them. Jhin and Varus locked out, so that really locks out a lot of AD carries for the side of Paria.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why you were kind of seeing this difference in the two styles. You've got a very bot lane focus coming through on the side with where they picked up the Ashe with on exceL Esports. And Jace, now that it's been picked up, this is why you're seeing the double bans. It's because they want to get a priority in the lanes where they have the advantage. Make sure that they can snowball through them. The problem is that with the Jace, yes, you get rid of the Fiora and the Maokai, but there's still a lot there. There's still a lot that go into the top lane, whereas now that you've got to go with the likes of the Caitlyn or maybe the Ezreal, but it's going to be the Caitlyn in this respect, they struggle against Ashe, and especially the likes of Karma, I was about to say, because you've got that wave clear coming through. You've got a huge amount that you can't deal with, and I've said it before on stream, which is where if you've got a Caitlyn, her whole game used to be early game split push, get to the tower, knock it down, get that gold for yourself, so then you can very quickly get to your items. But the problem is with the amount of pushing power that's coming through from the bottom lanes in this stage, it's very difficult to do that. So now you're kind of falling behind to these plays, and particularly when you don't have an answer for the pushing power coming through from the camera, from the poke, you've got to settle for something else. In this respect, it's the Taric, but that just leaves you open to so much damage coming through. You know, you've got the volley, you've got the Qs coming through from the karma, and yes, you can heal up some, but that's a huge amount of mana that is on the Taric in the early game, and if you're spamming that to try and keep yourself in lane, you're not going to have fun.
No, you're really, really not. Poppy did finish off our picks as well. Pretty much standard. There's just too many top laners right now to actually ban out. So Poppy into Jace, going to be a very, very interesting matchup. I'm actually very curious to see how Fox does that. And this is the kind of champion that we were talking about, that someone needs to step up. Toxic and Fox both on Jace and Kha'Zix. These are the two champions that can pop off. So fantastic to see them actually going for this kind of a comp of, like, you know, huge amount of engage, huge amount of damage. However, there's a huge amount of shields on the side of exceL, and it's going to be very, very difficult to eat away through those.
Yeah, and I actually quite like the Taric pickup for Paria as well, just because of the composition that's coming out of exceL. You see, as we were talking about, the long-range engage, that's very, very telegraphed. So when you've got that Taric ultimate that can just pop down the second that Ashe ult comes, sure, you might trade ult for ult, but in the end of the day, you're keeping your team far safer, and that's really the tool that they're going to be using, because yes, you have the Poppy who's good for those engages, but the real problem is that she needs some way to get in, because of course she has to just run at you. So if you can get, you know, the gate down, so the Jace's gate down, so you can run through, you got the speed up, you got a lot there to escape that engage from the Poppy. She needs flank wards, she needs something, and getting those can be a major issue.
Yeah, I'm going to put you on the spot now. I've seen the two comps, they're both locked in and ready to go. Big question, Paria or exceL, which one are you going for?
At the moment, just because of past successes, I think exceL are going to go through, but I really like what Paria has answered with here. If they can play it, yes, they can do incredibly well, but the real problem I think that is going to come through is how well they can do in the laning phase, because if they fall behind, there's a lot that's going to happen. Like, Poppy's going to get incredibly tanky incredibly quickly. You're going to have that Rengar snowballing, getting that damage very fast, which means you're not even going to have time to put down the Tarkle. You are gone off the map before that thing even hits anywhere near you. And as well, you know, you've got these strong bot lanes coming out as well who can do a lot if they get ahead. So I think it's going to be very much a case of, as we were talking about already, how do Paria play the laning phase?
Yeah, so what's your answer?
exceL, I think.
You're going to go exceL. All right, and it's going to be a clean sweep. I'm going to go with exceL as well, purely, as you said, from past experiences from the way they've played. Probably the biggest crux from Paria is that we've seen them take early leads and not do anything with them. And that's been a huge kind of crux for them as well. So I got to go with exceL. They just seem to be the stronger team, the kind of more sound team overall. But guys, let us know what you think in the chat or on Twitter. Let us know if you think it's going to be exceL or Paria. And I still think it's just going to be a super close game. It's going to be very, very close. We have a look at the Twitter vote. Actually, 75% agree with us on exceL to a 25% Paria. But hey, there's still 1/4 of the people who, you know, holding the flag, just like, yay, we got this. Don't shout too loudly. We're going to hop to the next team once they win. But yes, guys, let us know in Twitch chat or on Twitter who you think is going to win. If you think differently, or if you know, even as the game goes on, like you said, how the laning phase goes is going to be a huge factor into this game. And with Ryze and Jace going into that kind of late game, it is going to be absolutely massive for both sides if, you know, depending on which one gets an early advantage.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Because you've got the Taric there, if exceL don't set up the team fight correctly, it can very quickly swing into a disadvantage for them. They don't want to be playing into basically invulnerable people. That's all it is. And especially when you're trying to get off all this burst damage off, it's not going to be a happy time in that fight. But the thing is as well, that Paria are going to, as you were saying, kind of struggle in the early game. They need to try and get these advantages going. We need to see this pressure coming out from the jungle, because they don't actually have a proper way of engaging these team fights. Yes, you've got a lot of poke coming out from the Jace, you've got the Kha'Zix in the jungle, but how do you get a fight started? Your Taric is going to have to flash stun, and that's not ideal when you want to try and get these fights going.
The perfect situation from Paria's point of view, again, we're probably focusing a little bit too much on it, but you look at the fact that, you know, you get those well warps in, you get kind of a great early start, get Toxic going, and try and snowball from there. But exceL, they're looking super strong. They've got so many initiation possibilities. But ladies and gentlemen, we are onto the Rift for Game 1 of exceL versus Paria. And this is going to be a very, very interesting series to watch. But already we're seeing Kangas being forced out by Zivas and Nocturnal Plex. it's not going to be a fun time for the Rise, especially against that Orianna.
Yeah, exactly, and this is why we were seeing the Orianna pickup come through the second that Rise went down. But we also have question marks over Kangas, especially since we've seen him go not so great on some of these champions in the mid lane because of the champion pool he has, and particularly when you're up against the counter that is Orianna, this could go from bad to worse very, very quickly. So we'll have to see how they do decide to go here. If Toxic Dares does decide to put the pressure there just to help him out that little bit and make sure he can get to those later stages of the game where he will become the monster that Rise is.
And again, start of the game, we very rarely see crazy shenanigans coming out every now and again. It's a bit too risky for very low reward to be going for anything more than just vision. There is a little ward just on the red buff, so they know that it's a blue buff start for Toxic Dares. And again, pretty standard. Ox and Jokerism trying to put down a lot of pain. Papito needs to be very, very careful. They have put the blue buff into the bush, but no, it won't be able to get it. But Toxic Dares, you need to get out of there. But he gets his blue. There's a lot of annoying thing happening there from Ox. He's just trying to be a pest.
Yeah, and this was actually something that we saw Hado do a lot in their games earlier on, actually against exceL as well, where he would go in with the Malzahar, throw down a couple of those Voidlings and get the damage down and get the 80 carry low, and that's exactly what we're seeing again. Papito not having a good time. He's already got to pop that pot as well, so they're very far behind, particularly when Jokerism sitting at basically full HP and still a pot there to get rid of whenever he wants to. This is just not the start that Paria needed.
Already seeing a little bit of a poor start for that bot lane, but again, it's something we talked about. It's like they're in a losing matchup. We didn't really touch on that on the bot lane. It's like Taric and Caitlyn will not win, or rather should not win, against a Ashe and Karma. It's just too much long-range poke. There's just too much to deal with on the damage side. But we'll see how Papito and Barnabas deal with this. And for the moment, as long as they stay alive, I feel like that can be counted as a victory for them.
Yeah, and I think that's it, is just survive the laning phase, but they need to be able to try and keep this tower as well, just so there's not that snowball going very quickly into Jokerism's favour. And you can see, this is the problem when you get pushed under your tower against the likes of the Ashe and the Karma. It's so easy to predict where you're going to be standing and to get the poke down. And when you're already behind on health, that just becomes so punishing.
Yeah, we actually see a very early back there from Kangas, getting that tier stacking as quick as he possibly can. Toxic Dares is going to come into this top lane. Tolkien does pop the Steadfast Presence, making sure he's actually in a little bit of trouble as I think about it, as we see a lot of healing coming out for Toxic Dares. Tolkien, oh, nice outplay. Flashes, knocks him into the tower. It will be a trade, but great play from Tolkien. Doesn't get anything out of it except for a free first blood.
Yeah, and he'll be very happy picking up that first blood, because as you can see, he's already got a 9 CS advantage, and with those creeps going into the Kazakhs, that means he's lost that XP as well. So he's going to be further behind, only picking up the Doran's Blade for himself. And particularly when you're Jace, you're supposed to be poking out this lane, winning this lane through just being able to consistently get damage onto the Poppy. To be behind already at these early stages of the game is just not good for your team at all.
Yeah, Tolkien, we talked about it a little bit, but we really know that he is one of the kind of like the standing stones for this exceL side. If you need someone to perform well consistently, it's going to be Tolkien, and he's just done fantastically well already, as we see Kangas and Ziviz. Going to be a bit of a trade. Ziviz hasn't really got the mana. Ghost has been popped. By neither side is the Ghost popped by Ziviz. They're both solo. Flash auto attack, not quite, but minions not going to be enough. And that is going to be summoners down for both the mid laners. We're going to see some jungler presence there very soon.
Yeah, that was summoner spells blown across the board and so close. You can see Ziviz just didn't have the mana to quite finish it off. Didn't have the command attack and just wasn't able to pick himself up that kill, and burning everything in the mix just to try and pick that up for himself. Jungler, yeah, as you're saying, the junglers have to try and make a move on this particular.
It's a Rengar and a Kha'Zix. There's no way in hell they're not going into that mid lane. And we might actually see a very early 2v2 fight if they end up going around the same paths, because Nocturnal Plex did show himself in the mid lane, so they know that he is around. They just slowly keep this wave pushed up, and that was actually a really smart move. Keeping Ziviz nice and on top of it, making sure he picks up all that CS, all that experience, and gets him ahead of Kangas.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they need, particularly when Kangas hasn't been able to really do much for himself and the team in other games. So if they can try and keep him down and just get the frustration going for himself, he could end up performing quite poorly there. But we can already see Toxic Dares making his way into this mid lane. Won't be able to do particularly much, to be honest. Ziv is playing very far over to the other side of the lane.
We say that, but Ziv went aggressive all of a sudden. Ziv is going to get jumped on, killed off. Toxic Dares 2-0. And that was just... I feel like he should have seen that coming.
Yeah, he definitely should have. I mean, you could see he was playing into the pocket where he kind of knew that he would have been safe, but when you let their eyes walk up to you like that, you have to know that something's going to be coming your direction, particularly when he has that roof for 2.5 seconds. You were locked up for so long that he makes enough time for Toxic Dares to just walk into the lane and pick up the kill.
Yeah, we see Ziva's not really respecting the potential for the Rise and Kha'Zix's combo to be able to root him in place. You see Toxic Dares rolling back up to top lane, trying to make sure Tolkien is kept in check. Kangas, though, maybe making a bit of a roam, will be seen on a ward now, but they've actually, exceL, kept themselves here very... Oh, it was a little bit too late! That is a huge mistake from Branibus. Ox is going to flash away, but it might be enough as he may end up going down. Heal used by Jokerism might just be enough to keep him there. Ooh, good flash from Jokerism, keeps him safe. Now it's going to be Paria making the actives moves, and we actually talked about this. This is exactly what they needed to do. Blow summoners, get the advantages out in the laning phase, and they're actually making it happen. Yeah,
and it's fantastic to see. It's nearly like a completely different Paria coming out. They're already making the proactive moves, and especially Kangas. Like Kangas, we were criticizing in previous games for his quirky play, where he had the package available, wasn't moving out of the mid lane, was even like losing lane, or not losing lane per se, but wasn't putting pressure onto a Katarina as well. But now it looks like he's really picked up his game. He's moving down to the bottom lane, trying to get the advantage going in the lane, the struggling before they get put too far behind. But unfortunately, flashes burnt all over the place, and we're actually looks like it's going to be exceL trying to make a play of their own.
Yeah, they actually know that there's no summoners onto the Taric. There's the ghost used by Ziv. He gets stunned up by Branibus, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Shockwave, gonna knock him back a little bit, but here comes Nocturnal Plex to pick up that one. Don't even bother using the summoner spells off Papito. But as I say that, though, top side's going a little bit. There is the ultimate from Poppy. She flashes away, and there's the flash from Fox Deity. There's the shield coming out as well. It looks like it's going to be Tolkien maybe taking the kill. One more Q, not going to be far enough. Both top laners taking extremely low, but first tower going over to exceL, which is crucial.
These 1v1s are getting so intense, I can't take it. It's barely 1 HP or 1 hit on almost everyone in this game, but just barely making it out. You could see Poppy flashing so then she could get the passive back up to get the shield, but just wasn't enough, particularly with the knockback coming through from Fox Deity, and she just barely escapes with her own life. But
oh, arrow misses, Bola hits, Kangas slowed down a little bit. There is the ball put into a ghost used, so they get a summoner out of it. Ziviz will have a shockwave up in about 40 seconds. So, as I say that though, needs to be a little bit more careful. Hasn't really got a huge mana pool to deal with.
Yeah, but a bit of a preemptive ghost there. I don't think you really needed to use it, particularly when you knew that the shockwave and the Rengar ult had already been used in the bottom lane. They don't really have the CC to hold you there, particularly with the Realm Warp. You would have been able to escape without using that summoner spell. So I think it might show that maybe they aren't communicating as best as they should have, but it still means that he gets out safe.
Branibus trying to get as much information as he possibly can. A good few deep wards onto the blue side jungle of exceL. As we see exceL swapping out the duo lane as they took the bottom tower fairly early, in fairness. It was around the 8-minute mark, which is pretty damn early for that early gold going into it. But the handy thing about keeping your Jace is that he can CS from afar. It's pretty much the same as an AD carry, so he's not going to have that much issue as long as he gets support. And as I say that, here comes Branibus to the rescue. He does look fabulous.
Yeah, but the main problem about keeping your Jace with your support is actually he's going to be behind on XP because you're going to be sharing that instead of it all going into the top lane, whereas Poppy in the bottom side is going to be getting all that solo XP. So we've already seen Fox Deity and Tolkien going at it, and it's been super, super close. But when you start adding levels into that, start adding items into that, it's going to become a different story because Fox Deity would just be so far behind that he won't be able to keep up.
And already being pushed in, we see Fox Deity trying to be a little bit selfish, a little bit greedy, making sure he picks up as much CS as he possibly can, does jump in. They haven't really got a great move on this at all. Seems to be a bit of a dive that's not going the way. exceL taking a lot of time, a lot of free damage. They do get Branibus up against the wall, but they haven't picked up a kill yet. And this could be a little bit of a misplay They put 4 members up there. They didn't even get any summoners out of it because there's no summoners for... Oh, Fox Deity. There's the Realm Morph, though. As I say that, Tarek's the first one to go down. Jokerism could be next. It's a 2 for... It could be a 3 for Tolkien now in no man's land. And that is going to be Zivas being zoned off by Toxic Dares. They know where he is. That was a little bit of a misplay. 2 for 2, when realistically it should have been a 2 for none.
Yeah, especially when the Tarek wasn't even level 6, so they went for the... It was a nice idea. You could see the timing window that they were thinking of, but they just didn't execute it well, and it was actually quite good that Zivas did wander up there at that point in time. Oh, here we go.
Oh, Kangas finds himself Tolkien. There's a shockwave. It's going to be 1 kill. Tolkien, though, in a little bit of trouble. It's traded back. Zivas, though, a little bit isolated as Toxic Dares looks for it. Flashes in, gets the Q damage, is slow as well. Has he got enough? About 2 seconds till his leap is available. Not quite able to get it. But he does end up burning the ghost off of Zivas as well as they push in this mid tower. I don't think Zivas can defend this, not with Fox Deity there.
Yeah, and also the fact that he has no mana. But that was a bit close.
Yeah, that was a bit close.
But that's what I was actually going to say, was that they probably could have picked up the kill onto Zivas. If you look at where the wards are in the blue side jungle, there's one that's just expired that was just outside of the range of the tower there. If Jace had TP'd onto that ward instead of one in the back, he would have been able to make it in time, cut off Zivas, pick up the kill, and make that TP a little bit more worth. But they end up getting the tower, which is really what they want at the end of the day.
Yeah, Cole forcibly picked up there by Papito, who's 30 CS down. No kill participation at all, but with the level 6 evolution onto the Q for Toxic Dares, he should be able to solo this out pretty damn easily. As we see Nocturnal Plex trying again to go for something into his top side. I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do here.
I don't understand why they have their top laner and the AD carry in the same lane. Now Caitlyn just has to back. She hasn't picked up any farm on that top side. She's already behind and you're just putting her further behind. Meanwhile, Tolkien's having a field day in this bottom lane, picking up all the CS he wants, and Deity's going down.
Deity may be going down. Can he take someone with him? He won't be able to. Heal was used by Jokerism. But in the end of the day, a free kill going over to exceL. They gave up a dragon, but they'll gain a turret. And this is looking like a bit of an objective thing. We talked about it again. Paria starting off brightly, but again, just not making the right rotations. Papito, like you said, no reason for him whatsoever to be in that top lane. And now he's just going to try and soak up as much CS as he possibly can now in this bot lane. He's just so far behind.
Yeah, you're a level behind, you're 30 CS behind, and a kill and 3 assists. This Caitlyn is not... He hasn't even gone for BF, he's just gone straight for Zeal. Your Caitlyn has 0 damage right now, and this is really a horrible, horrible start for Paria. They, as you were saying, they looked good coming into this, but I just don't understand where their mind is. They had the right ideas coming into it, but now their execution seems to be just completely off. I don't know if there's arguments between who's supposed to be taking farm, who the carry is going to be in this situation, but I mean, you're sitting on a 0-3 Jace and a Caitlyn who doesn't have much farm. Neither of them are really carried.
Zivas taking a little bit of harass there. Branabitz was coming in off the side. Toxic Dares is going to join the party as well. This is going to be pretty much... But again, silver linings. exceL making the right moves rotationally. However, you have a 3-0 Kha'Zix, a 2-1-2 Rise. Nearly full kill participation from the Rise as he gets 4 out of 5. This is actually a really scary position. He's already got his Rod of Ages stacking. We're only at 14 minutes, so he's going to be making huge moves as I say that. Toxic Dares picks himself up another one. Small little things like that. He tried to greed for Papito, and Papito is doing, like I said, what he needs to do. Stay alive, and you're doing your job.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. He just wants the farm at the moment. And actually, this is going to be a nice pickup for Fox Deity as well, if he can get some damage on this turret. And we were kind of saying exceL, they had the right map movements, but now they're starting to lag behind. And Toxic Dare is doing his best to get in and just disrupt all this movement that's coming out of exceL.
Yeah, this Kha'Zix pick seems to be really working a lot more than this Rengar pick anyway, as he is 4-0, really trying to put down the pressure, and look, he's able to own that jungle just because they know. Here comes the Realm Warp, and they're trying to go for a dive onto Zivas. Zivas onto Fox Deity. He's going to have to run away. Fox Deity flashes. Will Zivas follow in suit? Oh, it's a auto attack, and Zivas goes down. Fox Deity getting the cooldowns. As I say that, though, there's going to be a fight off on the backside of this as Jokerism gets caught out. He flashes away. Here comes the Tarek ultimate as they're able to delay the fight a little bit more. Here comes Token off on the backside. Does get Kangas on the first. Flash burn. There's Toxic Dares. He's fighting Nocturnal Plex. He's not able to get it, though, as Tolkien is still fighting off the backside. Nice ultimate from the Poppy means he's able to slow down Kangas that little bit more. No flash, no ghost, and you are seeing a Daydream, but he takes the kitty down with him.
Yeah, that was nice play coming out from particularly Fox Deity when it looked like it was going to go so bad. You could see Ziviz was just like, no, I am not going anywhere near that tower with everyone there. Gonna go for the kill. Did have flash available, but wasn't able to get around the shock blast coming through and ends up falling. And you could see it looked very, very close, particularly when Branabus had that ultimate down, was able to cover so many of his team and make them invulnerable, but it just wasn't enough. A nice stun coming through on Token as well just means that they end up picking up a few more kills for themselves, and now they've set their sights on this mid lane turret, but Fox Deity and Branabus are looking to try and thwart that.
Yeah, we see a lot of pressure, and Tolkien being the shining light for exceL again. It was a pretty grim situation until he arrived. He was able to delay Kangas so much. It didn't matter what the Rise did. Even getting the speed buffs from the passive and everything wasn't enough. As he waits to go on. But again, it's another scary situation. The Kha'Zix is now officially huge. The Rise is going to get even bigger. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. As we have a quick look at this. Look at this move.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. You can see the shock blast comes through just at the right moment. It wasn't even expected, so didn't really have the chance to flash. You can see Joker's a nice flash through, and the ultimate comes through, and it looks like they're going to get it. I mean, you can see that they're all stunned up. You can Kha'Zix going for the Rengar here, and it's so close, but he ends up falling just because of the damage coming through from Ox, and then on the backside, Token just chases down Kangas, and just, to be honest, Nocturnal Plex getting a little bit greedy. He probably would have been able to walk away from this, but ends up falling because of it.
As we wait now, coming up to the 17-minute mark, we have a 2,700 gold lead, just under for the side of exceL. Kills are equal, but it's 2 towers to exceL to the 1 of Paria, so they've got a little bit of standing gold to play with. Dragon going to be up in a minute 10. Ziv is actually going to the top side. That's going to give up priority on this Dragon. I really don't feel like that was the right call. Like, you have got Tolkien, you have got, you know, your Nocturnal Plex on Rengar. There's no need to give up the priority of vision on this Dragon when you know that you can, you know, force it and force a fight.
Yeah, exactly, and particularly when you have just kind of won that team fight before, you've got a little bit of extra gold in your pocket. But what I do like actually is where Paria are positioning the Tarek, because what we talked about before is that it's very easy for, once you've got the 2 top lane and bot lane turrets down, for exceL to go and try and make a dive on the mid lane turret and pick up that tower. But by positioning the Tarek there, that suddenly becomes so much more difficult because you've got that ultimate to come down and keep them safe. But as I say that,
Branabus getting caught, flashes the shockwave. That's a big summoner down now, and a big ultimate down for this Dragon fight in 20 seconds. They are trying to pressure it. There's good wave clear here from Kangas and Fox Deity. I don't think they're going to be able to get it, and I feel like using those 2 key ultimates right there to try and get a pick onto the support, really not a good call from exceL.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Branabus doesn't really even need his ultimate, his summoner spell for this fight. He can just double up on the ultimate using the likes of the Rise or the Jace just to make sure that's spread across everyone. He can stand way in the back with the Caitlyn, so he'll be fine without the summoner spell, but you lose all pressure around the Dragon because you've got those 2 ultimates down. They're your main source of 1 engage and 2 follow-up, so this is just going to be a free Dragon going across because, well, actually, as I say that, yeah, they just gave it up.
I was just going to say, like, Paria put so much pressure down to try and defend their division and then just give it up because reasons, like, I don't understand.
Trying to make us look bad in our first cast.
Yeah, it's just like, it's caster's curse. You can't win them all. But again, they're trying to put the pressure. I don't understand why Kangas goes back there. He goes back and picks up a needlessly large rod, which it was needlessly, because there was no need for him to go back. He could have just stayed there, put pressure on it. They had all the ultimates available. I think it's actually a pretty poor call from Paria.
Yeah, well, that's what we were questioning about, the map movements, where they position their players, and it just ends up biting them in the butt in that time because they weren't at the Dragon to actually make the play. And yeah, sure, you're going to have a little bit of extra damage, but when you could have had that plus a Dragon plus a couple of extra kills underneath your belt, I think you've made the wrong call.
Yeah, now as we come up to the 20-minute mark, but 19 and a half, you see Branabus by Pink Ward. Oh, never mind, I've seen it now. He goes back and he's going to take that one out, and they're fighting for vision again. A big thing that I think that neither team has gone for would be Rift Herald, which would be pretty huge on either even Toxic Dares or Fox Deity or onto Nocturnal Plex or Tolkien. It could be pretty huge for either of them because both want to be alone, both want to be isolated onto it. And as I say that now, I'm going to see Nocturnal Plex maybe looking for a little bit of a play onto this bot side. He's slowly coming up that bot lane. This Toxic Dares is going to be playing the keep away from the wave game. You know, just clear it out, keep it going. And they're finally getting somewhere with this Caitlyn, but Papito is still a very long way away.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that exceL have kind of slowed down here. They're sending the Orianna into the top lane, they've sent the Poppy into the bottom side, and they're just continuing to farm. They're not really looking to make a play at the moment. You can see they don't have the vision to do it, they don't have the pressure to do it either. But as I say that, this Caitlyn...
Ooh, ultimate use. Nocturnal Plex takes a Jace Q to the back of the head. As you see, ultimate used by Taric. Branibus having to protect Kangas there. Ghost used as well, so not really looking great for the side of Paria. We see exceL, they're hunting, they're pushing, they're looking for an enclave, and the more you give up, the more gold goes into exceL.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Paria are getting the chance to farm up as well, so this tower, or actually, never mind, this tower is definitely going to fall. There's nothing that they can do here except
maybe fight it, as we see Ox taking very, very low. Does stay into the redemption. Ziv is not quite sure what happened there. They kind of looked like they had the fight, and they just didn't go in for it from the side of Paria.
Yeah, it's just that they're slow to the mark. You can see Caitlyn's only making her way up there. Now she does have the BF and the runes complete, so she can kind of put some damage out, but not really where she wants to be. But just slow off the mark to move along with the top laner as well, so it means that they're not able to do anything with it. And exceL have now started to group around this mid lane and looking to get these waves shoved in, see what else they can get around the map.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, we are on 7.1, so we are still going to see some pretty silly plays coming out from the junglers, hopefully. You know, experience and all that kind of stuff like that is still very much at a high. And I want to see how Toxic Dares pushes this. He's 4-1. He's got so much room to breathe. Him and Kangas need to be at the shining light, because right now exceL are playing this really, really well. Ziv is landing, you know, key shockwaves, or at least burning summoners. They're seeing Ash arrows coming out from Jokerism, just literally point blank. They know they can go for stuff and force something from of it. Tolkien has been as solid as he always ever been. So exceL, where do they go from here? They've got themselves a 3,500 goal lead. How do they end this game? How do they look to finish this off?
Yeah, I think the main thing that they have to try and do is control this vision around Baron, because if you're the side of Paria, walking into the likes of a Rengar, an Orianna and an Ashe are super scary if you don't know where they are at any point in time. So that's what you can see at the moment. They're getting those pink wards down, making sure that they can clear them out successfully, and you'll start to see them shove in the waves bit by bit, get that vision control for themselves, and then you have to try and face check this blind, because if you don't, it's too easy for them to pick it up. They've got a lot of damage coming out from the Rengar and the Ashe to just take down this Baron, so you need to try and push in, but how do you go into that team without risking so much?
As we hit up to the 23-minute mark, have a decent look at the items. We're actually seeing some pretty huge ones being finished up there now. So Rod of Ages and what will soon be a Seraph's Embrace finished up for Kangas. As you said, the Runaan's Hurricane and what will be the makings of an IE for Papito. But again, a Locket is an interesting one there. Branibus respecting that there's multiple forms of damage coming out from the side of exceL and needs that actually AoE shield. I think that the shield could be huge for his team. Toxic Dares making the plays onto the top side. He's going to pick that one up pretty much for free. No other pressure on the map coming out from exceL. Nicely done by him, but big items now as well for the side of exceL. Runaan's, Essence Reaver, they've got a Redemption, which seemed to be a huge factor there on Ox living in that last little play. Tolkien's getting massively tanky. Iceborne Gauntlets, Sunfire, and what is going to be a Spirit Visage as well. So it's just very difficult until Caitlyn gets the pretty much at last whisper how they're going to be able to take out this massive Poppy.
Yeah, but the thing is, exceL are giving them the time to do it because they have to respect that Branibus is on the Taric. You see the Kazakhs in the top lane and you go, cool, we can try and fight. It's a 4v5, you can't come and join us. But then you're like, oh, well, they're all underneath the tower, they're right beside the Taric. If we try and dive this, it's going to go very poorly for us because we can't take anyone out that quickly. So this is kind of why you're seeing that exceL are trying to make the plays, but they can't find an opening for it at the moment. This is where I think you need to start threatening that Baron so you can try and put that Poppy down at the bottom lane and keep her pushing through.
Jokerism taking a chunk. Ziviz takes another one as well from the Ace in the Hole. I heard it's Munchible's favorite ability. But again, this is kind of, like you said, they're giving them time. They're giving them, like, you know, room to breathe. They're not putting down. And again, a waste of an ultimate there from Nocturnal Plex. They will pick up an Infernal Drake because of it. Or will they? We do see the side of Paria coming in onto this. Ziviz has been caught out a little bit. Toxic Ares goes into it. There's the ultimate from the Taric. They get the Dragon. Can they fully get out of it? There's the Redemption going off on the backside. Papio Papito put him the wrong side. He's going to get Draken down. The exhaust goes down onto Nocturnal Plex. He gets himself out of there. Branovis is the next one caught out as well. And now it's going to be exceL jumping onto Paria. It's going to be full retreat mode. Kangas has yet to be able to put out any meaningful damage. Ox flashes in, but gets a huge amount of damage put back onto him. There goes Tolkien off to the backside. Jace was just too late to the fight. It ends up being a Dragon and 3 kills for exceL as they just change gears and fully take the fight.
Yeah, Brandibus used the ultimate far too early in that. All you saw was the Orianna. You knew that the Rengar ult was down. He wasn't going to be coming for you, so you had time to hold on to that until the last second, but he uses it way too early, and that just means that exceL go, cool, we can just go and engage, and that's exactly what they do. They pick up the kills across the board and several towers.
I'm looking at a quick silver sash right now onto Pariah's top laner of Fox80. That seems unnecessary at this stage. I know there is one or two things that, yes, you could be cleansing, like the Poppy Stone into the wall, or possibly a Karma Stone from the leash. Maybe the Ash Arrow, but he's not going to be focusing you.
Yeah, that's the thing. You've seen exactly what Token's game plan is. TP into the fight. He's been split pushing for the last, like, 10-15 minutes of the game. You don't need the QSS against that. You can get away with going for more damage and just try and poke him again from afar. Get the wave clear, get yourself going, but you're not going to see an Ash ult going up to the top side if you're split pushing. The Ash ult as well should probably be used by the time you're joining the fight with the teleport, so not entirely sure why he's decided to go for that pickup. He hasn't really been struggling against stuns so far.
Yeah, and we see exceL establishing vision control over the Baron. Branovis taking a little bit of a hit. Here comes Nocturnal Plex as he may be looking for Kangas. Oh, Shockwave on the Branovis is going to be 1 kill. Kangas does get jumped on, but the kitty says no, there's more people there, I don't want to play with you. But that could spell the Baron as Poppy is in position in this mid lane. They may go for it.
Yeah, particularly when you have the Poppy ultimate available, you can knock so many of these members away, so you're pretty safe to start it up, and then, you know, you can always peel and take the fight after, but
Papipo. Oh, flashes, lands on the trap, gets a nice 90 caliber. There's another trap, unfortunately, Kitty going nowhere, and that just about saves his life, forced to use his flash and his heal. That's just scary now. They can't walk into their own jungle without that happening now. And this is where exceL, I feel, really starts to put the pressure on the Paria. They've, you know, picked themselves up a 6,000 gold lead. They've got the Dragon control. They've got Baron control, full vision control. And I don't feel like Toxic Dares and Kangas, despite them being super huge about 10 minutes ago, they're about equal now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, what do you do in that situation when you can't walk into your own jungle? Where's the ward coverage for the Paria right now? They have nothing around the Baron, and the only one that they have is on the completely opposite side of the map to where everyone is moving right now. They don't know what's happening, and therefore they can't respond to it. They need to try and get some sort of ward coverage down, try and get themselves some semblance of an inkling back into this game, because right now they're just being picked apart.
And again, we see a little bit of a lull coming in. 7,000, about 6.2 at this stage coming onto it, as we see maybe a little bit of a move onto Tolkien. Is Fox80 going to put down the Black Cleaver stacks? Tolkien, no vision whatsoever. We are going to see Kangas and Branovis jump in, but they're going to back away. That was a lot invested just to do nothing with it. Ox going to clear out this vision now in the back of the Baron pit. Does have to put down another pink warden. Actually, this is something we very rarely see as well. That, you know, either side, as I say, that Toxic Dare is forced to flat jump away. Ash Arrow goes off onto the distance. But Paria, they're really in between two minds. They don't know what to do right now.
Yeah, and you can see it there. You've just shown yourself bottom lane. So the most obvious choice for exceL to go for is like, cool, we'll just start up the Baron. And Taric begins to back. That doesn't make sense. You need to be moving directly towards that Baron to try and get some control over it again. But they're just constantly going in, oh cool, we're clearing out a little bit of wards. Let's leave and let them get all that vision control back. It's not, they don't really seem to have a game plan as to, okay cool, how can we take control of this game?
Yeah, as you see now, they're trying to get some semblance of control back into their own jungle. We see Tolkien still going strong in this bot lane, able to do so much with that Grasp of the Undying, able to keep himself safe. But again, like, Tolkien doesn't need to leave. Tolkien has TP. He knows he's going to be able, if he doesn't TP first, even if he does, if Fox80 even tries to follow him, it's just going to be an instant CC, stop the TP, neither of us are going, but at the end of the day, they need Jace on the side of Paria. You know, Tolkien's kind of like a really good added extra, because even before he's joining these fights, they're winning.
I just have a quick question. Do you think Jokerism is going to flame Horizon Pepito?
It's very, very close right now. I thought you were going to say, was he going to flame him? And I was just like, wow, that's just so rude. I'm sure Jokerism's lovely. But it's 30 CS off. He's 70 up now, and that's a great rotation from exceL. And may look to try and do something on the Fox Deity. There's nothing he can do. He gets stunned up against his own turret as they try and go the Tolkien. But look at the size of that shield. You're going to do nothing to him. Branibus now taking huge amounts of damage. Tolkien flashes in. The ultimate comes down. He does get the cast off. But Tolkien going to take a huge redemption one with Nocturnal Plex cleans up Papito, and that is going to be an inhibitor breaking the base of Paria as everything is going wrong. Kangas just trying to do as much as he physically can, but he's just not able to put out enough damage. Jokerism and everyone on the side of exceL, as Ziviz was pushing in that mid lane, they're going for the win.
That could definitely be the game. Toxic Dares needs to try and escape. He's got the last hold on the base, but he's not going to be enough. There's 10 seconds on the Jace, and they are ripping through this turret. exceL are going to take this.
exceL are going to take this game. They're going to be able to take the first one. Shockwave, Sombrero, Toxic Dares flashes away, but it won't matter pretty much for naught as we see the game one of this best of 2 series in 31 minutes going over to exceL.
Yeah, and kind of surprising way as well. I mean, it was so back and forth for so long where there was no real action happening on the map. You could see they were finding it very, very difficult to crack the base. They didn't really have a way to play around the Baron because they were kind of afraid to take the call to just go for it. But at the end of the day, it's just Token too big on this Poppy. Manages to get a nice kill onto the Jace underneath their own turret, and the rest of exceL were just following through on that play. And Branibus going a little bit too far forward on that last one. Didn't need to be there. If he'd held back a little bit longer, might have been able to hold on to that ultimate again, keep his team safe when they went for that engage, keep themselves, or allow themselves to keep that turret in the bottom lane. But again, kind of weird ultimates coming through from him.
Yeah, really, really strange ultimate as well. It kind of happened the way we said it would. It really, really did just happen in that sense of everything was going fine for Paria in the early game. They got kills on the Ryze, they got kills on the Kazakhs. The Jace wasn't too far behind, and yes, fair enough, you had to leave the Caitlyn in the bot lane, but it just fell away from them. Their decision making was off. They fought for stuff and then immediately let go of it. Their vision control was just all over the place. They kind of prioritized some of the weirdest positions I've ever seen in my life. And then when they got advantages, we did see some teamfights where they got the jump onto exceL and then they didn't take it. They immediately backed off because they were just so afraid of making a mistake that was the mistake.
Yeah, exactly. And particularly we could see it around that dragon fight where they went in, they had the pick on the Orianna, but then they didn't know where the rest of them were, and that was because of the lack of vision.